had her chainsaws with her, and they would not allow her to take them on board the plane. They said that because it was after 9/11, they're very suspicious. So we talked to the security guard, can you keep it in the office and someone from the show will come by and pick it up? And he said, no, we can't keep those. And she wanted to go to Canada and be part of the show. So here's where money talks. There are a lot of limos coming in, and the limo drivers, chauffeurs, dropping off passengers. We went up to one, and she offered him $80 to take the chainsaws back to the studio in Culver City, and of course he agreed to do it. So I think that shows you that money talks if you really want to get something done, in case that ever happened. She thought maybe she offered him too much money at the time, but the show paid her back.
Oh, that is good. That's good.
Yeah, so that's a little lesson there. Now, when we went up to this area, and when I say Norway House is an Indian reservation, it's modern. They have one supermarket there that is as modern as any that you go to, takes credit cards, has all the latest publications, etc. And we stayed at a hotel and then went to hunt for Bigfoot. And I'll tell you, first of all, we had a guide with us with a gun just in case we might run into a hostile Bigfoot. We did not find Bigfoot, but going through the foliage, through the shrubbery, it was so difficult to walk even a few feet. You had to be careful not to trip. So it would be very difficult if you saw this creature to run after him. Now, he's, of course, accustomed to this environment, so probably can move through it very swiftly. But humans trying to pursue him would have a very difficult time. Now, we didn't see any Bigfoot. We didn't find any footprints ourselves. We did find some bird bones where the feathers had been plucked before the bird was eaten. And as far as we could know, that bears don't remove the feathers, nor any other predators. It looks more like a more highly intelligent entity that would want to eat the bird, such as a goose, but not the feathers. That's one piece of proof. Then, interestingly, we're getting calls, not just from the local area, but from different parts of Canada, because apparently word spread that we were there looking for Bigfoot, and I had a number of calls. People said they'd just seen a Bigfoot, as though perhaps it is a hibernating creature, and this was the spring, and it's coming out of hibernation. Now, we couldn't check those other calls. You don't know how valid they are, but I think people taking the time to call us certainly impressed me that there's something genuine out there. Then a number of the locals were coming by with photographs, and I'm talking about with digital cameras, of footprints. And then one team came in, and we couldn't take this back to L.A., where I'm calling from, but they had this huge box filled with dirt with a footprint they claimed was left by a Bigfoot. They didn't see the creature, but they found the footprint. Now, we couldn't take this back. We did film it. But we're getting a good deal of secondary and tertiary evidence to at least make us think that something is out there. And I should point out that flying from Winnipeg to northern Manitoba, about 500 miles, I was very impressed with the forestation on the left, the right, the northeast, southwest. You could have had 100 Bigfoot creatures hidden in that. It's so thick, and that's just one part of Canada, a small part of Canada. So certainly this helped convince me that this creature exists, even though we didn't actually see one.
Yeah, even though, like you say, just because you don't see them doesn't mean they don't exist. Like you don't all the time see bears, all the time. I've seen a bear one time in my life, and it was across the road in my neighbor's yard. I seen the bear, and it actually, when it seen me, it went back up into the mountain, And you and I have gotten in this conversation before, I believe, about when Bigfoots die. You've talked about how, if you don't care to go back into that,
yes, I think it's very important because the skeptics ask, well, why don't we find any Bigfoot carcasses? Well, I point out, at least I'm a city guy. So maybe you see more in your strolls down the road, but we never see dead birds. Maybe I'll tell you when I've seen a dead bird. I've seen a pigeon that had been hit by a car in the street, but you don't see dead squirrels or dead birds, lying around on the lawns or under trees. We know the creatures die, but we don't see their bodies, and that's because the degradation takes place very fast. And there's one study done that was shown on television on, I believe, the Discovery Channel last year, where they put a dead deer out, and the wildlife expert thought it would take a month for it to decay. But they had the videos running 24/7, it totally decayed, and there were no signs of it in just 7 days. And you had all types of predators, including insects, that were nibbling at it at different times. But what they were surprised was that the maggots played an important role in the degradation of that entity, so that there was no sign of it. Now, with fewer Bigfoots, if one dies, that could happen, and if they're intelligent creatures, it's conceivable they might drag off a dead relative to bury or place in hiding. So I think that is an interesting challenge by skeptics, but I think it can be answered appropriately.
Exactly. It was a good test, just 7 days, right? The deer was, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know it was that quick.
Yeah, well,
even
that's
here,
the wildlife expert, too. And I think it argues more for to answer the skeptics on that point.
Even here, we see a lot of even roadkill, and they're just on the road maybe a few days, and they're no more traces. So even with a dead body, if it's not touched, it decays and goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's actually Go ahead.
I was going to say that, of course, we know that with roadkill, we hear about car-moose collisions, for example, but these are creatures that wouldn't be as intelligent and know enough to avoid a car. And again, the Bigfoot is further removed from civilization, so it's not as likely to be hit by a car and become roadkill. Now, there's some people who have asked about the famous Patterson Bigfoot film taken in Big Bluff, California in 1967, and to this date, it's still being analyzed and reanalyzed, and the experts are split on whether or not it's legitimate or not, whether it's a man in a suit or not. But one analysis indicated that that was not a suit, but actual fur on the creature, and that certainly is important if that's the case. But experts have taken both sides of it, and I think most of them are split or still undecided. And this is almost, this is from 1967, 43 years ago, and they still can't decide on the legitimacy of that film footage. I think you've probably seen it on TV at some time. Have you not?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Footage, yeah. Well, I want to say it's a legit video myself because, the way the creature walks, and then you see him sort of hesitate, and he looks back. He notices there's someone there, but he just goes on. And the reason I say that's legit is because, like the day when I seen the bear across the road, it seen me, and it just went up on into the mountain.
So it reacted in a similar fashion.
Yeah, this Bigfoot creature reacted in the similar fashion as the bear did. So with me experiencing,
so you've just added another degree of legitimacy to this film with your observation, Benny.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. But based on my own my personal experience with the bear, it helped me with that Bigfoot footage, because for the longest time I didn't know what to make of the Bigfoot footage. Yeah, but that actually helped out.
Yeah, because that's exactly what that creature did. He looked back and then walked off. So I think that... Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
I heard a voice in the background.
No, it's my little boy, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any calls?
Yeah, the lines are open, so if there's anybody that wants to call in, the lines are open, so feel free to call in.
Okay. So another
we
question
have, let's see, about 5 minutes left on the show. If we have any callers, the lines are open, so feel free to jump in on the conversation. Or, we're pretty much open to talk about anything. One thing we don't do too well is normal. Our areas are best in the strange and bizarre.
Well, I wanted to get to one more idea, that Bigfoot could be an alien creature. And we've had a few cases linking Bigfoot with UFOs. Now, there was a wildlife hunter up in Northern California back in 1889 who was shown a strange creature in a hut. And they called him a bear relative, and said that called him a crazy bear, and said that he came from a small moon. Well, a small moon could be a UFO, saucer-shaped or spherically symmetric UFO. We don't have many more details, but he was the classic Bigfoot, had the classic Bigfoot dark fur, height about 7 feet, perhaps weighed 350 pounds. The man apparently didn't communicate with them, but that was one piece of evidence. Then a very intriguing case came from Fayetteville, Pennsylvania, in 1973, on September 25th. A group of hunters saw not one but two Bigfoot creatures and a UFO overhead. As the hunters approached the two Bigfoot creatures, one of the Bigfoot apparently waved its arm and the UFO took off as though it was sending it away. They did shoot and possibly hit one of the two critters, or Bigfoot entities, but they escaped into the forest and were never seen again. And again, unfortunately no film footage of this, which would be great to have, just the testimony of several hunters that they claimed they saw this, which would link the two. And we've had a few other cases, and the idea is twofold. First, and we've had, for instance, William Bossack up in Wisconsin in 1970 was driving home when he claimed he saw an overhead UFO with the upper half lighted, and it looked like a Bigfoot type of creature at the controls. So the Bigfoot creatures could be the aliens that are actually manning these UFOs. Perhaps they're testing out our planet's environment for future colonization. Or another idea I have is that more advanced creatures are dropping the Bigfoot entities off as guinea pigs to test out our environment. Or perhaps these are exiles or criminals who are being dumped on planet Earth, and they would come from another planet. I know it's a very controversial idea, but we have a few cases to support it, and I think it makes for an interesting possibility.
It does make it for a possibility. I think it makes sense, but because as we were talking about that, it reminds me of the chupacabra. Because when I was younger, when I first started hearing about the chupacabra, I heard a similar story to that these chupacabra were dropped off by UFOs for whatever reason. So that does make sense.
Okay, maybe on a future episode we can discuss the chupacabra in more detail.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
And that would certainly bring that up, because that's a very interesting idea.
3 minutes left on the show.
Did you want to talk about the Dr. Rule show on the Internet now?
Yeah, go ahead. And
you go ahead.
Is there anything you want to say, or you want me to give out the web address?
Give out the web address. Tell us what you're going to do.
Okay.
In the future.
The web address is, right now, the web address is youtube.com/bizarreiv. It's like as in internet vision, youtube.com/bizarreiv. And it is the official home of the Dr. Rule Show, and it will also have Hypergalactic Enigmas on there as well, so you can listen to this broadcast on YouTube. And then I'll also post links and things so you can download the broadcast in MP3. But that is, the official home where you can go, youtube.com/bizarreiv, and check out the Dr. Rule Show. And then also there you can go, there's links, things, you can go to Dr. Rule's channel, which is youtube.com/Dr. Rule. And we just finished a video, actually, with Invasion of the Body Snatchers was our newest one. But we cover everything from biblical UFOs to sci-fi movies.
So the Abominable Snowman?
Oh, yeah. So you can even go in there and see the Abominable Snowman, and actually it goes, I think, maybe in a little more detail with, the actual Abominable Snowman creature. That's a great show that the doctor and I did. Is there anything else you want to say, Doctor?
Yeah, I just want to say if they want to check out any of my videos, the channel is youtube.com/user/Dr. Rule, DRRUEHL, or just very simply go to YouTube and enter in the opening blank Dr. Rule, or just put my name, Franklin Rule, that's spelled RUEHL. You'll see the videos that Benny and I have done, as well as several others. I have about 260 links there, about 133 of my own and 130 that I've been involved with that other people have produced. So there's plenty of material out there for those of you interested in it. And we certainly can appreciate your support.
Doctor, the show's coming to an end. Would
okay,
you,
now
go
until
ahead
next time. Now until next time, may the power of the cosmos be with you. Yes, yes, yes.